Hey everybody, it's Nicky J here again. So in this video, I want to give us 4 reasons why God is not committed to changing the situation of Nigeria, no matter how much we pray. These 4 things must be in place for God to be part of a national development, regardless of the people of the country. Now, I'm going to take my reference from Israel. I mean the old Israel, right? How God dealt with them, because these are the only people that we know have a record that God was fully involved in their nationality. All right. After that time, we never saw God involved in any country's nationality. Right. Good. So, number 1 reason is that when you look at the old Israel, you see that the processes that led to a king emerging as their leader, God was involved. In fact, there were some cases where God by himself anointed who their king would be. David was a very good example. Right. Today, what do we have? We have elections, right? Good. And who are those persons in charge of the electoral process? Still people who are involved in politics, right? So there is no God in the equation. Number 2, when you look at the old Israel, you see that when a king emerged, that king would always have a prophet who communicates with God on his behalf. In fact, God wanted to be so much involved in the life of the leader who was leading his people, to the point that he will have his spirit come upon that king. This is why you see the person of King David was not just a king, he was also a prophet, because God wanted to have communion with the one who led his people, right? Yes. Number 3, look at their constitution. You see that God by himself gave them his constitution. Now, what we Christians call the laws in the Old Testament, those were not just religious writings. These were national laws. God wanted these people to behave in a manner that were in line with his will and his goal. All right? Oh, yes. And lastly, you see that there was strict measures as to the God that they all served. So what am I trying to say? Everybody in Israel, as at the time God was involved in their national development, all had one belief. That means they all had one God. There was a unified belief across Israel. There was restrictions as to how people served the God that they served. In fact, they were not even allowed to make friends with people from other nations, because they were going to corrupt them with their own beliefs by serving other gods. So when you look at these 4 parameters, you see that Nigeria as a nation does not have anyone that is ticked. The very first one, the process that brings our leaders into their offices, God is not part of it, right? Good. Does our leaders hear from God? No. In fact, they don't even hear from servants of God. They hear from their political members, right? Yeah, that's why they have cabals. They have advisors who are part of their political parties. So God is not part of whatever decision that they make that concerns the nation. Number 3, the constitution. Currently, Nigeria runs on the 1999 constitution. When you look at the constitution, there is really no God factor there. The only thing that resembles God is that we all have a right to practice whatever religion that we want. So as a Christian, nobody is going to harass you for practicing Christianity. That's all. There is nothing about God that is in it. Number 4, a unified religion. You see that every person here, even though we have majority of Christians, we have so many Muslims, you see that our religion is still very much diverse. We do not believe in one God. There are several beliefs across the nation Nigeria. Even within the Christendom, which I'm part of, you see that our belief system as to how we try to seek God, it still differs within the Christendom. So you see that there is not much unity when it comes to belief. So when you put all these 4 things in place, you look at it and see that God is not committed to what? Become part of the developmental process of the country called Nigeria, because the things that would bring God into the picture, they are not in place. Yeah. So these are my own submission. Cheers, guys.